So you bought a house and you're thinking about renovating it, but I'm not talking about small DIY projects that could be done in a weekend. I'm talking full-blown HGTV style before and after renovation. But real life is not like HGTV, and TV budgets are not real budgets. But that doesn't mean you can't do that renovation you've been dreaming of, and as someone who is currently going through this process right now, it's my goal to keep this whole thing as real as possible. Today, we're gonna have an honest conversation on the start to finish process of renovating your home, including where to start if you're planning a big renovation, what to hire out for versus DIY, is it possible to live through a renovation, and the real controversial topic no one wants to talk about, how do we even afford this? But there is a lot to get covered, so let's get started. Before we get into it, let's talk about how we got here. 4 years ago, I bought this 1950s Cape Cod style home, which I swore I would never do because I grew up in a Cape Cod style home with 5 people and 1 bathroom. But there was no way I was passing up this house once we found it. Long story, very short, I was looking for my first house for 5 years before I gave up my search during the mid-19, signed a lease on a studio apartment, and then I bet you can guess what happened next. Literally 1 month after signing that lease, of course, I was approached to buy a house off market, and well, the rest is history. Okay, and if you asked Sam 4 years ago where she would see herself today, she would tell you, not in this house. In full transparency, this house was a 3-year plan because even for a family of 2 and a dog, it is pretty tight. However, in the past 4 years, we've really fallen in love with this house, the location, the fact that it's close to friends and family, and the fact that I can literally jump on a train to New York City and go see a Broadway show whenever I like. It's the little things in life. Also, did I mention all the work I put into this house? Yeah, safe to say, we're not going anywhere for a while. So why choose to put a second mortgage worth of work into a house instead of just selling this house and getting another mortgage on a new house? Well, good question, and this is where our renovation journey starts. So if you're in the process of thinking about massively renovating your house versus moving, here are some helpful things to consider. First up is the current housing market. I know I don't have to preach here, but the current housing market, at least where I am, really sucks. I crunched the numbers a million times on potentially selling this house and buying another one, and even with the generous amount of money that we would make on resale of this house, the reality is that we locked down this house at a really good mortgage rate, which means that even with a substantial amount of money down on a new house, we were still looking at a mortgage that was double or more of what we're paying, which honestly sounds awful. Second is you have to think about long-term investments. Now, investment doesn't always mean money. I am confident that with what we're putting into this house, with this giant renovation, we will make that investment back financially. And on the real, this was supposed to be a starter home, and technically putting a second mortgage level renovation into it doesn't make sense on paper. But life doesn't happen on paper. To buy bigger without spending more, we'd have to move, and moving would mean leaving a lot behind that we love. And I know that not everyone has a strong support system nearby, but we do, and it's something we don't take lightly. For us, staying close to friends and family and small businesses we love is part of our long-term plan, because the return we care about most isn't just financial, it's emotional, practical, and it's rooted in community. So moral of the story, as a former therapist, I love a good pros and cons list, and after doing one by myself, the pros really outweighed the cons. Now, everyone's reasoning is gonna be different for whether you decide to sell or renovate, but at this point, let's assume we're renovating, and let's talk about where to begin. So I have good news and I have bad news. Bad news first, that's how I like to deliver it. I'm about to throw a lot of information at you, so sorry in advance if your brain hurts once this video is done. The good news though is because I just went through this gigantic renovation, I'm sharing every single thing I've learned with you from planning to finishing a giant home renovation project, and I'm not gonna hold back. And even better, I do have a secret weapon to share with you in just a little bit too to make it easier for you. So before you talk to anyone about your renovation, you need to do research. It really helps to know what you wanna do before you do it, duh. We'll use my house as an example. So we had some must-haves for this project. A second bathroom, a larger primary bedroom, more closet space, or closet space in general, And this is overkill, but what we really, really wanted was a taller ceiling in the living room. And that's because this house is like really tiny. So while most of these things are necessities, the living room ceiling was like just a bonus, but it's something we've been thinking about for years. However, the ceiling set the tone for the entire project because ultimately we sacrificed a 4th bedroom to have a vaulted ceiling, and this is something we thought about a lot before moving forward with our project. On one hand, it could potentially hurt our resale to lose another bedroom, like for sure, but on the other hand, investing in this project means we're not leaving for a while. And if we made our house for resale and not for us, we would have sold this house a long time ago, trust me. But on the real, we live here, this is our home, we want to make it feel that way, so see ya 4th bedroom. Sam's getting her vaulted 15-foot ceiling and a fresh new fireplace to go along with it. And look, I know my brain runs at a million miles an hour, but if you're someone who has a hard time envisioning what you want for your space, don't be afraid to look up similar homes on Zillow, Pinterest, or pull inspiration from design magazines or websites. You can always take these ideas to a designer or an architect and have them help you design your dream space. Which leads me to my secret weapon. So over the past year, I kept wishing I had somewhere to organize everything project related for this renovation. I'm talking ideas, phone numbers, payments, checklists, all of it. Like, I've never seen so many piles of paper on my desk at once, and it was honestly overwhelming. So rather than drowning in a basement full of paperwork, I decided to create the Project Planning Handbook. This book is a printable guide that you can use for your projects, big or small. It's a step-by-step workbook designed to help you confidently plan a project from idea to completion. So whether you're tackling a major remodel, a multi-phase build, or even a room renovation, this guide helps organize every step of the process. So if you're in the planning phase of a big project and want a place to organize everything, I'll leave a link below. You can check it out there. So now that you have your ideas and your inspiration, it is time for the next step. So you know I'm the first one to tell you, like, do it yourself, you could do it, everything yourself, yeah. But this might be one of those moments where I break my own rule. Big projects can sometimes leave room for big mistakes, so it's really important to hire the right people to make sure that big mistakes don't happen, because when they do, they cost a lot more money. So for my particular project, the first person I called in was a local architect. And this was really helpful because this was someone who was familiar with the town I live in, the rules of the town. They let me know if my project was doable. My architect was not only also able to draw up the plans for our house, but they also worked with the town directly to make sure the proper permits could be pulled for the house and that local rules were being followed as well, which is so important. Now, once he was done, it was time to call in a contractor. And in case you don't know what a contractor does, a contractor manages the entire project from start to finish. So this includes ordering materials, scheduling different phases of the work, making sure everything is getting done the right way. You will make your biggest decisions about your project with your contractor, and they will honestly probably become like family for a while, so choose wisely. I met with 4 different contractors before deciding on who I wanted to go for the project, and honestly all 4 gave me very different prices, but ultimately I went with a contractor that wanted to get to know me and respected that there were parts of this build that I wanted to do by myself, and like that was really important to me. And personally, like, this was the most fun part. Choosing my contractor meant getting to see the project come to life even before it started. Like, the company I went with had this amazing local showroom, and I got to choose my finishes, like siding, windows, decking, and like all that fun stuff. And it was fun until I saw the bill, but like, we'll get there soon. All that to say, do your research, talk to people, make informed decisions, because the team that you choose can make or break your project. And before we talk about costs, we do have to tackle another big thing: obtaining permits. So if there was one thing I was really happy to like give to someone else, it was the permit process. This is where things can get tricky, and here's why. Every town has different rules, and it's important that your contractor is familiar with those rules. This is why a good team is so important. I didn't have to look at a single permit application this entire process. My architect and my contractor not only did all of that, but they also collaborated with each other to make sure that the project got done, which was a huge relief because, especially on Long Island, the permit process can be very complicated. Okay, now that you have your team and your game plan, it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. How do you know how much money this project is going to be? Well, that's where your contractor comes in. Those really fun meetings where you get to like choose all the materials for your projects, like, yeah, they become a lot less fun when you have to talk about how much it's all gonna cost. But the good part is this is when you can make some adjustments based on your budget and what you want to spend. The bad part is you still got to pay for it. The other bad part is that there's a good chance that whatever price you get from your contractor, that may change throughout the project. During the demo work, my contractor found a few structural issues with the original framing of the house that had to be taken care of, and this added a few $1,000s to the overall cost. And like these things do happen, so most people typically suggest putting aside a minimum of like 10% of the total renovation cost just in case. But like, so how do we pay for the renovation, Sam? Good question. There are a couple of different options when it comes to paying for your major renovation. First up is self-funding the project. Second option, take out a loan. This option is definitely the one that most people choose. And look, there are lots of different loans that you can take out. Like for example, you can take out a private loan from a bank, charge it on a credit card and pay it back. Take equity out of your home. You can borrow against your home. There is not a one-size-fits-all option, and I'm not here to tell you which one to go with because my degree is definitely not in finance. But if you have questions about funding, like talk to a financial advisor or a bank about what your options are and what those payments might look like. In full transparency, I took out a loan for my project, but I'm also saving a lot of money by doing some of the interior work myself. Spoiler alert, there's a lot of projects coming to the channel. And one last piece of advice for the financing, it really helps to keep track of how much you're spending because a big project can get real expensive real fast. Okay, you know the game plan, you've cut your first check, and now it's time for your project to start. Or is it? There are going to be still a few last minute things that need to be tackled before breaking ground on a big project. Like for example, are you living through the renovation? Are you moving out while it happens? I personally have this like hard and fast rule that if you don't have a bathroom in your house during a renovation project, it's probably worth it to relocate for a little bit or like find an alternative option. But like I know that moving out during a reno isn't an option for everyone. It wasn't an option for us, but just keep in mind that like living through a very big renovation is definitely not for the faint of heart. It gets dusty, it gets messy, it gets loud. There's gonna be a lot of workers in and out of your space every day. You might be missing a whole roof. So like, just keep that in mind when choosing to live through a big reno. Either way though, you'll probably have to make some arrangements for stuff you're keeping in your house. So like getting a storage unit, a pod, maybe even like storing it at your parents' house if they live close enough. Sorry, Dad. Also, right before your project starts, you're gonna wanna make sure that you're talking with your team to go over any details or questions that you have. So like things are gonna come up during the renovation, that's just the nature of a big project, but clarifying the work before it starts one last time is just like really helpful for everybody involved. You've done the legwork to get here, and now it's time to finally start. Big projects happen in phases, and it's really, really helpful to keep track of each one. But if you can't or it feels overwhelming, that's okay because your contractor is definitely gonna keep track for you. And you can expect your project to kind of move along in big chunks, which is kind of helpful. So here's an example. Like the first day our roof line was demoed, and then within 1 week we had a dormer. So like while that was quick and really exciting, the rest of the work happened in like smaller chunks, with interior framing taking a few weeks to complete and then the rest taking like a couple months following. Like everybody's timeline is just different, and big projects require a lot of patience. It's honestly like during these moments that you want to check in on the project and check in with your team, because also too, like if you want to make any changes, it's important to do so before any walls are closed up or any permits are closed out. What do I mean by that? I'm gonna give a personal anecdote for a second. When we were getting our interior walls framed up on the upstairs bedroom, I noticed that I didn't like the framing of the closet. It just wasn't matching up with the roof line. I actually asked my contractor at the moment if it would be okay to make the closet just like a foot deeper to match the roof line, and he really appreciated that I asked him in that moment because there was no drywall or flooring or anything else going on, and they were able to make the change pretty quickly. So it's been weeks or months, and the big ugly work, it's over, but we're not done yet. During the last phases of the renovation, you'll start to see your project or your house come together, but like this is not the time to get super lax about it. During this phase, it's really helpful to keep like a checklist of all the small finishing details you might have concerns about. If there are any portions of the project at this point that you feel concerned about, or like that you feel like you can't live with, such as like holes in the ceiling or a faulty light or a leak or like anything you might be unhappy with, then this is definitely the time to tackle that with your contractor. Now listen, I'm not necessarily talking about like big structural changes. That's something you should tackle before this like final building phase, but I'm talking about like small issues in your home before your house becomes your home again. So if there's anything that needs to be fixed, like just make sure to get them fixed, because once your permits are closed, you're gonna have to go through that process all over again. But if everything's up to your standards and it all looks great, then like great, your project's almost done. And that's actually like really exciting. And if you're like me and you're looking to do some of the work yourself, like now is definitely the time to check in with your contractor to come up with a game plan for all the work that still has to be done. So for example, I'm opting to do the tile work in my bathroom and not hire out in order to save some money on this renovation. But doing this means that I am definitely holding up the plumbing permit from being closed out. So my contractor and I are in constant communication to make sure that the project is just like not put on hold for too long. And like there are also some other projects in my house that I know I'm capable of doing and I want to do, but these projects are also projects that aren't holding up an entire crew. So it's like really important to understand like when is your time to tap in. But look, if you're not a DIYer like I am, like congratulations, you made it to the end of your project. I'm actually really stoked for you. And this means that your renovation is complete, your permits are closed out, and your bank account is probably empty. Just kidding, or am I? And that's it, yay! If this video was helpful, please let me know in the comments below. But for now, I do actually have to go finish the tile work in my bathroom and other projects I can't wait to share on this channel. So friends, happy DIYing.